17. Petra's drone flew above the Tellico River, high enough to capture the image of Gable waving goodbye, carrying his backpack as he strode toward the trail that wound to the top of Bald River Falls, on his way out for his solo night investigation. She panned back and captured the magnificence of the 90-foot waterfall and the roaring river's slamming boulders, smoothed and chiseled long before Native Americans fished and hunted the mountains. Gable turned at the switchback on the trek to the top and met two bearded hikers, outfitted as such, on the way down, before climbing a set of stairs along the top of the falls. He passed the area where the young Martin Johnson and his father ate picnic lunches on a cement table that was long gone, and then he followed the trail away from the shimmering pool of water above the sheer drop of the falls. It was near that point he saw a small tent sitting away from the trail, partially under an overhanging boulder, and beside it a young woman in a halter top with her elbows resting on her knees and her fingers placed in the mudra of discussion, deep in meditation, sitting erect with closed eyes. Gable did not disturb her and continued his hike, further up the creek which, along with the trail, grew more and more narrow as he stepped over fern leaves and fallen trees. At that point he met a young couple, possibly teenagers, in shorts and short sleeves who looked to be headed back to the falls after hiking into the quiet and more solitary forest. They nodded to each other. Soon Gable disappeared into the mountains, civilization vanishing behind him. Billy and the remainder of the team drove several miles toward Etowah to a trailhead that would become a path onto Star Mountain, one of the higher knobs that popped up all over the foothills of the Cherokee National Forest. Everyone had snacks, but Robo was the most prepared, carrying not only meal bars but all sorts of chips. He was a Pied Piper of sorts, dropping them as he walked because he believed Bigfoot might like them and follow along, but more times than not realizing he was the only one who really liked them, so he consumed at least every other one. Billy liked venturing out during the daylight, a time when the vast majority of Bigfoot sightings occurred. That might have been for several reasons. More people hike when they can see where they're walking and when they don't worry about stepping on a snake, which is a definite possibility in the mountains. Furthermore, people can see not only snakes but other sights. Unlike the popular notion that Bigfoot has great nighttime vision, people don't. Hence, humans can spot things more readily in the daylight. In the daylight, vantage points matter too. But at night, Billy thought that Bigfoot might become bolder since they were less visible. Some believe that Bigfoot might even be more aggressive at night. Whether that was more of a hunting instinct or an attempt at intimidating creatures to avoid areas the Bigfoot needed to guard or use for hunting was still unknown, and nothing more than conjecture at this point. One thing was certain. The night filmings were a big hit with television audiences. People liked to see what they couldn't naturally see, things hiding under the cover of darkness. They enjoyed a certain level of fright and uncertainty. Billy had always been a relentless hiker and could cover considerable distances, albeit in stops and starts and hesitancies and waiting and listening. Sometimes when Robo grew tired, he made up excuses. Look at this. What is this? Or did you hear? Other times he admitted he needed to rest. But tonight, Billy was the first to stop, and even though he said, let's listen, it seemed as though he needed time to think, to sort out the day, to consider what they might do. Even Petra gave up on filming for a while, and then, possibly afraid she might miss something, reconsidered and began again. Without comment, Billy stood, took a tremendous breath like he was about to free dive in a deep, clear inlet pool filled with exotic fish and coral, and let out a long, loud howl that seemed to emanate from somewhere in his soul. The team waited. Nothing. After a while, they began walking once more, following a GPS trail now because the original trail was almost obscured and virtually invisible. That was when they heard the first knock, from somewhere far away it seemed, echoing through the trees. Billy held up his hand and cocked his head to the side. After about 30 seconds, and with a movement of Billy's encouraging hand, Robo used his walking stick and rapped twice on a tree. The team waited in silence. Minutes passed, and when they were almost ready to move again, another knock sounded. Robo knocked once in reply, this time with all his force, almost worried his walking stick might not withstand the pressure. But this time, after waiting for several more minutes, no return knock came. They walked again, night vision on, stealthy as they could manage, even though the detection of their presence was an almost certainty.
"Boss,"
Robo whispered.
"stop. I think I see something."
Robo took Billy's sleeve and pointed him in the direction of a steep hillside, down into what most surely would become a valley surrounded by thick, tall pines and elms. He held Billy there, now with Rink coming to their side.
"Moving,"
Robo said.
"I see it."
"I don't see it, Robes."
"Just watch. Fast and then behind trees and growth. Maybe not a run, but moving fast. Hiding."
They waited. After more than a minute, Rink spoke. "To the left. I saw something move. I saw something." "Walking?" Billy asked. "Well, no. Like Robo said. Moving fast, though." Finally, Billy saw it too. Petra maneuvered to their right and then behind, finally going low, all the while trying to film the group as well as capture the image of the moving being in the distance.
"Do bears walk upright?"
Harrison asked. "They stand to climb trees or reach up into trees," Billy replied. "But they don't walk on their hind legs, unless they're in a sideshow or something."
"Well, whatever is down there walks upright. I saw it."
"Where?" Billy asked.
"Probably further down. It's out from where you guys were pointing."
"Come on, moving away," Billy said. He was already in motion, on the trail but cutting corners now, moving as fast as he could, trying to keep pace. Something was down there, and he was intent on discovering what it was. After several moments of fast movement, and when the trees thinned, Billy stopped once more. The team scanned the forest, and when they saw nothing, they moved again, as fast as they could without an all-out sprint, before stopping again. When they had waited as long as they could manage, it was Rink's turn to be the first to spy. "Moving again. I swear I saw something. This time right to left." Billy must have seen it, and without warning bolted in the direction of his sight. The team followed. Robo's breathing came in loud rasps now as he struggled to keep up. Harrison passed Rink and followed closer to Billy. For almost an hour they pursued. Twice more the image swam into view, a heat sensor showing an elevated area once, but so far away it would surely be faded by the time they reached the area. Nearing 4 a.m., they lost all contact with whatever they were chasing. They were almost 5 miles away from their vehicles by now, and despite their encouragement over the encounter, their deflated optimism was evident. The exertion had taken a toll, and their adrenaline was spent. They would be forced to return. All that remained was an examination of the film. That, and whatever Gable had discovered.